Hello students, hope you all are doing great. I'm Machal Chaudhary, working as an assistant professor, BBA department in St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. So I'm back with my online lecture series of Principles of Management. Students, it's your lecture number 3 from Unit 1. In your previous lecture, we have covered principles of scientific management, its essential elements, process of management, levels of management, and managerial skills. And today we are going to start a new topic, that is approaches to management. So today we will cover all the various and important approaches of the management like classical approach and any other. So let's start with today's lecture. Students, management approaches are divided into four parts: classical approach, behavioral approach, quantitative approach, and modern approach. So these are the four classification of your approaches to management. Then classical approach is divided into scientific management, bureaucratic management, and administrative management. Behavioral approach is divided into Hawthorne studies, Maslow's need hierarchy, theory X and Y. Quantitative approach is divided into like management science, operations management, management information system, which is known as MIS. And last, modern approach is divided into the system theory, contingency theory, emergent approaches. So basically, students, in out of these 12 studies, you have already studied many of the theories, many of the approaches, right? Like Maslow's hierarchy need, you must have read about it, and you have read about the scientific management, administrative management, theory X and Y. So there are many approaches we have already studied about. We are studying these approaches since class 12th, right? So that will be easy for you to understand these theory. First, let's start with the understanding of classical approach. So classical approach is further divided into bureaucratic approach, administrative approach, and scientific approach. So we have already studied about the administrative and scientific approach. So first we will discuss in detail about the bureaucratic. So it is propounded by the Max Weber. It lays on emphasis on the authority structure and description of the organization. Here, basically, bureaucratic is more focused towards the authority structures and discipline, and it mainly focus on the formal organization, treats the organization as a closed system. Based on practicing experience of managers, principles are developed. The rules and procedures are decided for every work. It leads to consistency in employee behavior. Since employees are bound to follow the rules, the management process becomes easy. So basically what happens that here we follow the already prescribed rules and procedures. Whatever the management has decided for each and every work, for each and every worker, so the worker is bound to follow these rules, and that's why they start feeling that they are working under the rule, and after a certain period of time they are so habitual of these rules that they are not able to adopt any kind of changes. So then at that point they start resisting the change. So it is basically focused on the closed system. Closed system means where management is the only person, management is the responsible one who will take all the decisions, who will create the rules and procedures, who is responsible for overall presentation of the organization. Here, no employees are like liable to take any kind of decisions. They are not allowed to involve in decision making. They are not allowed for any kind of initiatives. So the duties and responsibilities of each job are clearly defined. There is no question of overlapping or conflicting job duties. सब कुछ पहले ही decided है duties, responsibilities of each and every job. So there is no chance of overlapping or any kind of conflicting. And it is viewed as a closed system, having no interaction with the environment, relying too much on past experiences. So, whenever you rely too much on anything that is related to your past experience, or you can say, or you are relying something on like changing environment, so relying too much is very bad. If you are focused towards one thing only, then in that case, it is not good for the organization. So bureaucratic approach is like having so many demerits, so many shortcomings, due to which it was not that much popular. No doubt, many organization follows this approach, but still it have many shortcomings. Next is your administrative approach. Administrative approach, or you can say it is given by the Henry Ford. As we discussed in the previous lectures, there are 14 principles which are given by the Henry Fayol, and he is the father of administrative management theory. So he has explained management in five functions: planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating, and controlling, which is also known as POCCC. So basically, Henry Fayol has focused towards his 14 principles. According to him, an organization should focus on these principles. It should be based on these principles only, like discipline, division of work, authority and responsibility, unity of command, unity of direction, subordination of individual to general interest, remuneration, centralization, scalar chain, order, equity, stability of tenure, initiative, and esprit de corps. So, but he focused too much on these principles that the main shortcoming, the main criticism that this approach has been faced, that is, it is said to be a too formal. It is said to be too formal approach of the management. So that's why it is many organization has not followed this one. Next is your scientific approach. Scientific approach is concerned with knowing exactly what we want workers to do and see that they do it in the best and the cheapest way possible. So basically, here our main focus is the to ensure that each and every worker is doing his task, is producing the things in the best and cheapest way possible. It is given by F.W. Taylor, who is known as the father of scientific management. So he basically focused on the working the doing any work, doing any task in a scientific way, so that the cost will be reduced and the time also will be reduced. So there are some elements on which scientific management approach worked on, like time and motion study, separation of planning and doing, job analysis, scientific recruitment and training, standardization, and financial incentive. So the main focus of scientific management was on these tools, these elements which I have discussed. So basically what happens that it encourages the managers to seek the best way of doing a job. Here we know, and here we conclude or we find out the best way of doing a job, and in how much time period we can do that job, we can complete that particular job. So it is all eliminated, it is all like find out in this method, that doing, if we want to do some work, so how can we do that work in the best efficient way, in the less time, in the like reduced cost. So this is all is concerned in the scientific approach. Next is human relations approach. Human relations approach is propounded by the Professor George Elton Mayo and his colleagues. And what they have done, they have just done an experiment in the organization where 29,000 workers were employed. And what they have do, they have just do the experiments on different workers, and in the on the basis of their findings, that particular experiment is like divided into further four parts. First, illumination experiments, relay assembly test room, interviewing program, and bank wiring test room. So in elimination method, first let's discuss about the elimination experiments. So what we have done here, they have just divided the group of employees into two different categories. First was controlled group and the other one was uncontrolled group, or you can say free group. So what they have do, they have just like one group was which was controlled group, under which constant level of illumination was there, and in the other group which is called as the test group worker, under changing levels of illumination. So here the main focus is to find out that how the employees are going to behave if they are controlled, if their actions are controlled, and how will they perform if they are not being observed, their actions are not being controlled. So the post-test productivity of the two groups was then compared, and it was found that elimination affected production only marginally. So there was not that much big difference between both of these two groups. So it is concluded that whenever you are giving the task to the employees, to the workers, they will perform it in the best way. Whatever they can do, they will do the best, whatever they are, whatever it is possible by them. So this is was the illumination experiment. Next was the relay assembly test room. So in relay assembly test room, what was happened, the a group of six women workers who were friendly to each other was selected for this experiment, and these workers, women workers, was told about the experiment and were made to work in a very informal atmosphere with their superior. So what they have to, that superior also worked with them as a very friendly way. He guided them and he was behaving very friendly, and these all six women were also behaving, working in a friendly way. So what was happened then, what was the conclusion? That was a surprisingly conclusion that researchers found that the production of the group had no relation with the working condition. Although they were working in a very informal way, although they were working in a very friendly zone, but that doesn't impact their production, that doesn't impact their output. They worked in the same way as they were working before. They were like they have completed all of their tasks. There was no delay in the production, there was no delay in their working conditions or working things. Next is interviewing program. Interviewing program means like here what management does, they just interviewed all the workers so that they will get to know what exactly the workers are looking for, what are their demands, how they want to work in the organization. So here what happened, that interviews was done of the 20,000 workers. Here 20,000 workers were interviewed and they were asked relating to the type of supervision, working condition, living conditions, and these kind of questions were asked. So, but since the replies were guarded, the technique was changed to non-directive type of interview. So here each and every worker was free to talk. They are free to tell about what exactly they are looking for, what exactly they want in the organization. So they were free to talk. And this study revealed that workers and social relation inside the organization influence their attitudes and behaviors. Whenever the workers having their social relation or informal relation in the organization, that only impact on their attitudes and behaviors. Their production will not be get impacted, but their attitude will get impact, their behavior will also change, because now they will feel free that they are working in the organization. That is good, but apart from that their social needs are also fulfilled by, like, they are able to talk to each other, they can develop a informal relation in the organization, so they will not feel bounded some way. नेक्स्ट इज बैंक वायरिंग टेस्ट रूम. बैंक वायरिंग टेस्ट रूम में क्या हुआ था, देयर वाज अ 14 मैन whose depth observation was taken. They were making terminal banks of telephone wiring assemblies to determine the effect of informal group norms and formal economic incentives on productivity. So here two conditions was given that they will be allowed informal group norms and formal economic incentives. So they have worked whatever, like, see, if you are giving the formal informal group and you are giving some formal incentives also to the workers, so that doesn't mean that they will work beyond their capabilities, beyond their capacity. They will still work in the same capacity which they were working before. If you ask the employees to work for 10 hours or you can say 12 hours, so he or she may work for 10 12 hours, but if you want that the worker will work for 18 hours for the sake of incentive, then it is not possible for that worker to work for 18 hours. It's not actually possible. No doubt you can give him incentive, you will give the incentive informal group or you can say a friendly working environment, but still the capacity will remain same. It can be extended up to 1 hour or 2 hour maximum, but it can't be extended so much that a worker is not able to work. So this was all which was concluded by the Elton Myers approach. They have done experiment and they concluded that the behavior of the employees changes through the working environment, changes through the informal group is there, or with the authority, and you can say with the foundations which the organization is giving on them, which is relying on them. So it has an impact on these workers. System approach. System concepts have broad applicability. Systems have boundaries, but they also interact with the environment, external environment. Organizations are open system here. It is not bounded towards the rules and procedures only. It is an open system here, recognizes importance of studying interrelatedness of planning, organizing and controlling in an organization as well as the many subsystems. Here all the subsystems are considered. So basically, system is a set of interrelated or separate parts working towards a common purpose. Here, all the activities are related into different parts, different separate parts, or but they are interrelated somehow. They are interrelated towards a common objective, common or goals. So that is your system. System approach to management views the organization as a unified, purposeful system composed of interrelated parts. So, system approach assumes that organization is as a whole एक unique personality है where there are different subcategories are there, and also these categories are divided into different parts, but the purpose or the objective behind those activities, all the activities, is same, that is a common objective. It aims at meaningful analysis of organization and their management. It facilitates the interaction between organization and its environment. The guide manager to avoid analyzing problem in isolation and to develop an integrated approach. Basically what happens that यहाँ पर manager considers the organization as a whole, and जो भी उसके पार्ट्स हैं उन सबको एक लार्ज एक्सटेंट में पूरा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ही कंसीडर किया जाता है. Here the focus is not only on different activities on different parts, like a manager will not say that I'm not from the finance department, so I will not look after the finance department. He will look after all of the departments also, because he considers the organization as a part, a whole organization. He don't consider that different departments are the like कोई भी डिपार्टमेंट अलग है, that is not included in the organization. He assumes that he is responsible for each and every task. System oriented manager would make decisions only after they have identified impact of these decisions on all other departments and the entire organization. So they must intervene their department with the total organization and communicate with all other departments, employees, and each other. So basically here what we assume, as I told you, that here we assume that organization works as a whole. Here all the departments are interrelated. They are somehow interrelated with each other, and each employee is also interrelated with each other. So because here the main objective is the organizational goal. Here we are focused towards the achievement of the organizational goals. This is your system approach. Next is contingency approach. Contingency approach is also called as the situational approach, which means that decision making is based on the situation to situation. It can be differ by the situations. It is developed by managers, consultants, and researchers who tried to apply for real life situation. Here we focus on the solution of the real life situation. Some management concepts are very effective in one situation. The same management concept is failed in other situation, because here whatever the decision we are taking, whatever the decision we are going to take, so that have a different impact on the different situations. Suppose if you have taken the like some decision regarding one situation, it's not sure that that particular decision will be effective in the second other situation also. It will be effective or other for other situation also. So it's not like that. The decision changes with the situations. The contingency which seeks to understand the interrelationship within and among subsystems are well as between the organization and its environment, and to define patterns of relationships or configuration of variable. So basically what happens is, student, that different situation requires the application of different management techniques. Suppose a particular situation can be tackled by the management overview only, like कि suppose कोई situation आती है, in that situation management just simply simplify all the situation to the employees. He just mentioned the solution in the oral way only. उन्होंने मैनेजमेंट ने सिर्फ समझाया और सिचुएशन हैंडल हो गई. But it can't be done in all the situation. Maybe in second situation management has to decide, or management has to take some effective you can say step. There they मे बी किसी सिचुएशन में मैनेजमेंट को फायर भी करना पड़ सकता है एम्प्लॉयज को. So every decision or every situation has their different impacts. Management should therefore match to fit its approach to the requirement of the particular situation. So here main focus lies on the management's approach, how they are going to tackle the different situation, particular situation, and their approach should be fit in each and every situation. That can be different, but that doesn't mean that it will not be effective. Managers should try to make the different approaches. They should try to evaluate the different situation with their different approaches. So that's up to the management. There is no best way to management. There is no unique technique to solve every problem, because every problem has a situation. It's unique in itself. There is nothing like कि सिचुएशन का कोई बेस्ट एग्जांपल या फिर कोई बेस्ट वे ही होना चाहिए, कोई बेस्ट टेक्निक ही होनी चाहिए टू सॉल्व दैट पर्टिकुलर प्रॉब्लम. इट्स अप टू द मैनेजमेंट्स कैपेबिलिटी. वो किस तरीके से प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करने जा रहे हैं, हाउ यूनिकली दे आर टैकलिंग दैट सिचुएशन. आइडियाज वही रहेंगे, techniques will remain same, their approaches will remain same, but situation will differ. So they should know कि किस situation में कौन सी approach लगानी है, किस situation को किस तरीके से tackle करना है. It's up to the managers. Manager have to devise methods and to learn when and how to apply each one. So this is your contingency approach. So students, that's it for today's lecture. In next video, we will continue your unit 1. So here is a question related to today's topic. Explain in brief different approaches to management. So you have to solve this question. Whatever the approach we have discussed today, so you can write down these approaches in here in this question. And there are like 2 or 3 more approaches which we will discuss in your next lecture. So if you face any difficulty, you have any doubt, then do let me know. I will clear your doubts. Thank you so much for your time. Stay tuned for more videos.